Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, everybody. This is Mark Cavalier with the Southwest Coalition for Life, and I'm very excited you're joining us for this bad news and good news webcast. For instance, bad news is this past Tuesday, we missed our weekly pro-life update that we promised you, but the good news is I had a really great board meeting with even bigger and better and more exciting things to come that we were working on. But there's just been so many things like that, and we're just going to jump right in because we got a lot to cover, and I want to keep it brief for you this evening and respect your time. One of the big bad news things that everybody's been hearing about and talking about, for instance, is this idea of this satanic temple coming to the state of New Mexico to offer what they're calling so-called religious abortions for free. But the good news is that wherever sin prevails, grace prevails all the more, and we're seeing the pro-life movement rise up and stand up and speak up. And that video that you just saw when we introduced was from the Southwest March for Life, where hundreds and hundreds of people showed up in defense of life. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and pull them on. But one of the people who came down from Albuquerque was our attorney, Mr. Mike Seibel. And you came down from Albuquerque for this event, Mike. What did you think leaving Las Cruces after that March for Life?
Wow, what an event. I was so excited after that event. There was so much energy down there. As I tell everybody, in that part of the country, I think is one of the most pro-life parts of the country in the borderlands that I have ever seen in my entire life. I've traveled all across this nation. To go down there and feel that energy is incredible what went on down there.
And you know what's awesome is I was inspired by how many people came, not just from across the state of New Mexico, but even from El Paso and West Texas, because we know the abortion side, there's women coming from all over Texas to New Mexico now for abortions, and the pro-lifers are doing the same.
Well, I saw Leo Martinez, one of our stalwarts out in Hobbs. He came out. He was, one of those crucial people in Hobbs to get that sanctuary city ban. He came out. I saw people from Albuquerque when I was down there. I mean, they were from all over. Victoria came from Students for Life, all the way up from the UNM chapter. I mean, it was incredible to see the outpouring of support for the March for Life down there in Las Cruces. It was just unmatched in New Mexico in my mind.
And multiple pastors, multiple priests, even not just one, but two bishops from both the dioceses, Las Cruces and El Paso. It was amazing. We're talking about bad news and good news, Mike. And by the way, I want anyone watching this, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, you can join in the comments, ask questions, and if we've got time, we'll try to get to those. But, one of these bad news things is that, the state of New Mexico has been notorious for being the late-term abortion capital of the nation because and as it still stands, the law does not restrict abortion up to the moment of delivery. However, that being said, even though we're battling bills and things like that, there's still been some good news in the midst of all this craziness because New Mexico is no longer the late-term abortion capital of the nation, and yet the laws have not changed. How is that possible, Mike?
So let me set the stage. About 7 years ago, I read an article by Karen Garnett. I went to Mass that day. I decided, after I walked out of there, I was sick and tired of seeing Curtis Wayne Boyd kill people up to the date of birth in this situation, to rip babies from the womb, limb from limb, as President Trump once told us in a speech in 2016. I was sick and tired of it. And I walked outside and I told a good friend of mine, Robert Wall, that I was going to do something big. What's 7.5 years later, and through perseverance, we've done something big. We've done something incredible in the state of New Mexico. Probably one of the biggest victories that you never heard about in the United States is Curtis Wayne Boyd has ceased doing any abortions above 24 weeks. Any late-term abortion, third trimester abortions have stopped. It is confirmed on his website. Bud and Tara Shaver confirmed it. Kelly Lester made a phone call to confirm it. They are referring everything out of state. And what we did, what it was, is the legal actions that Jamie Jeffries and I have been relentlessly pursuing for the last 4 years. It was, Christina Garza getting the information to us from the sidewalk so we could show all the ambulances that were coming there. It was getting abortionist Shannon Carr and abortionist Shelley Sella to retire through the relentless lawsuits that we had. We had a death of Carmen Landau, which also contributed to that. We had nothing to do with that. That was so totally separate. But all these things, through the perseverance of, all of our people, of you guys, of Ethel, of Elisa, everybody in the movement of constantly putting pressure on them, we have stopped being the late term capital of abortion in America. I mean, it's the greatest thing I've ever been a part of. I can't tell you how proud I am of our pro-life community, how proud I am of everybody that has been involved all the way through. This is one of the most monumental victories outside of the overturning of Roe versus Wade that we've had. No longer can I worry going to sleep. How am I going to stop 20 people from being ripped apart, 20 viable babies in my neighborhood from doing it? I stood up, I went out there, I persevered, and we prevailed. So, I mean, I couldn't be happier at this moment in my life.
Well, I don't know how to thank you enough. I know how much you do to this work behind the scenes and get very little in return, but I know that God is definitely paid attention, and it's all for his glory. It's all through him, and he's made it all possible. And thank you, Mike, because now just to be clear, Boyd, he was the one in New Mexico that kind of made us the late-term abortion capital nation. And there's nothing to prevent organizations like the Pink House in Las Cruces from going up to delivery if they found the right doctor. Is that right?
Well, there is something that it prevents. There's a case out there that nobody's heard of out of Texas. It's called Whole Women's Health versus Paxton. It featured a couple of premier abortionists in the country: Mark Nichols, Lisa Ketter, Robin Wallace from Southwest Women's Options. And it said late terms have to be done in a hospital setting. I mean, yes, they could possibly do it, but that would be a breach of what we call the standard of care in New Mexico. I think the Peak House would be crazy to do it. Other parties to that action in that Whole Women's Health action, obviously Whole Women's Health versus Paxton, Whole Women's Health, who just moved to Albuquerque, so they're bound by that decision. Southwest Women's Options, they were part of that same case in which their experts testified this was the standard of care. And believe it or not, Alamo Women's Health, who just moved to Northeast Montgomery, that Ethel and I featured a while back on the internet, they were part of that case. They're bound by the same thing. They would really have to do this in hospitals and hospital settings to avoid any liability. And I think the abortion industry is scared right now because, they're going to get sued if they're not doing this in a hospital. But it does make our importance all so much better or so much more focused on that late-term state-centered the state-centered $10 million hospital that they're putting down there, because they might be able to accomplish something like that. So it's important that we get out and we call our legislators and we kill that $10 million center in the South, because that, in fact, could be a late term that they could make possible.
Right. And you're talking about making calls to the representatives. I want to pop that on the screen real quick for anyone who hasn't yet. You can go to newfrontline.org, and when you sign up there to this Take Action page, it will give you all the phone numbers to make those phone calls. And that $10 million center in particular is not a bill. This is a budget item that has to be approved, and there's 4 committees that we have to call. So if you have not yet, you can go to newfrontline.org and find all of those phone numbers to make those phone calls. And send those emails telling them not to approve the budget item for this. But that being said, the other thing that we've all been calling and talking about has been this House Bill 7. The bad news on that one is that this just passed its second committee meeting. It's going into a floor vote. But I was pretty encouraged by the last, even though it passed, I was pretty encouraged by the stand taken by the pro-life community. What did you think watching that, Mike?
Wow. I mean, Ethel, Rebecca Dow, to an extent, Elisa Martinez did a great job in organizing our numbers of our speakers there. We had the head of Save the Storks, Dr. Trandom, come out and testify by phone. We had Jamie Jeffries there. We had Mike Morris, the mayor of Clovis. We had Elisa Martinez. We had corrections officers, a doctor from Washington, D.C. about transgender. You talk about the most organized pro-life effort that I have seen at the legislature since I've been a part of the movement. That happened this week. I watched great legislators like Andy Reeb and Ryan Lane stand up for life and ask really good questions. Wow. I mean, it's incredible. And don't worry if this bill passes, there's another fight that's about to come. I'm entering my appearance with Jonathan Mitchell in the Attorney General's case this week. This is going to be a monumental lawsuit. Even if we lose, There are some benefits that I'll talk about later that it'll benefit the pro-life litigation causes and the pro-life community, and I'll update those as the legislative session goes on.
You mentioned our friend Ethel, and she's I've been repeating what she's been saying is that life is winning, and actually I'm going to pull her on right now because she was a big part of that. And Ethel, I want to thank you because there was a limited number of speakers that they were able to allow for the last one, and you had been lined up to speak, and you actually gave up your spot so that the New Mexico Conference of Bishops were able to speak. I was just so amazed by that and humbled, and so thank you for your leadership. Oh, and you're muted. Go ahead and unmute yourself. And there you go.
Okay, awesome. Oh, thank you, Mark and Mike. Love you guys. Love everybody out there. You guys, it's not about me. It never has been about me. It's about saving lives. It's about ending these atrocities in our state. And so whatever we have to do, whether we're on, I remember the first time I testified, I was up in the gallery and Elisa says, "You're up." And I'm going, "What?" And I have my little granddaughter in my arms and I'm going, "Oh my gosh." And so I went and testified. And then, I've been there to speak or not speak, whatever the Lord has, and if there's somebody else, and let me tell you, the Conference of Bishops needed to speak because there are so many people that claim to be Catholic, that are on our legislative team, yet they're voting for, these horrible bills. I'm sorry, I'm like all crazy here with my phone. I had my computer and it was like not working correctly, so I had to switch. And so I'm sorry, forgive me for that.
No, this is good.
But it was good. I tell you what, when I got home, I was exhausted after having watched I was sitting there in that front row, but watching these experts testify and debate this bill, it was impressive. They did such a good job, and I was so proud of them. They each said something, and I just want to give special kudos to Representative Lane because he really drilled them, and he kept asking them questions that they wouldn't answer. Actually, so did Representative Ream and Nyberg, about the kids and the age, and could they go without permission, without parental consent. They just refused to answer. They just kept talking about, well, the bill has, in it, and they kept talking about the so-called merits of the bill. But these guys didn't give up. I'm telling you, they just kept plowing through that. So I was really proud of them. So we need to give them a big high five and thank them for that. And actually, I'm going to pull out addresses and we can send them notes. It means a lot to them. In fact, I sent a quick note to Representative Lane, and he said, I can't tell you how thankful I am for your support. Yeah. These guys need to know that we are behind them. And so it was great. I was glad that we were there. We were outnumbered. I hate to say that, but maybe just in the sitting there, we had sure. One whole row that was empty. I didn't like that because, we're used to like packing it out. And I kept telling people, show up, show up, show up. So maybe as time goes on, and I know it's going to go to the floor here really soon, right? So we need to make sure that we fill every seat. And
you had a great idea on that, Ethel, because that's the next step. It passed these two committees, is going to the floor vote. And this is a chance where all representatives in the entire House of Representatives in the state of New Mexico have a chance to vote on this. And so it makes a difference when they see a lot of people there for a certain cause. And you had a great idea of how to make sure that they see all of us who are there in support of life, which is what.
Well, I tell you what, it was really, I'm going to pull, hopefully I'll go crazy on this screen. I got my shirt, and actually, Mark, this was your idea, not mine. But, actually, somebody had always suggested that we go over there in number, and we have this cool shirt. Let me see if I can, and it says, "My favorite ride is life." Okay, and that's why I wanted to put it on the computer because I know that it's bigger.
We can see it.
Can you guys see that? On the back, of course, it's got Right to Life. And, they're on our shelves at the office, and I don't like that. I think that they should be on your bodies as you walk into the gallery. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to take them in bags, and you guys come pick them up. We have we are a nonprofit. So, they were for sale, a suggested donation of $20. But don't let that stop you. If you need a shirt and you're willing to go in that gallery, you come and you talk to me because we've got like several sizes. And, you know, every time before it, I remember I always go back to 2019 because that's when we got to be there before. And there was tons of us. And every time that they would speak of something, the pro-abortion camp would go and they would come back in t-shirts that match, you know, and it's very effective. You know, they see that, but it's very, very important that they see a ton of us there in the same color, that they know we're in solidarity. And so, and I'm gonna refer to one statement that actually Representative Montoya made back in 2019. And he said this because there were so many of us in the rotunda for an event. And he said, you know, those people in there, inside the gallery inside there, they go, they've never been afraid of you. He says, but they're afraid of you now. Well, why? Because we showed up in mass. We showed up by hundreds. One time there was 1,000 people there. Folks, I can't express to you how important it is that you show up. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get to speak. But it's not about us speaking. It's about us being there to support our representatives as they go in there and fight for this, you know, fight against this bill. We need to show up as much as we can. And I know not everybody can, so this isn't a guilt trip. But if you can go. Yeah. Please, come on. This is too important. This legislative session will be over in less than, what is it? Like a week, a month now, right? Just right around there. So, you know, come on. We can give up a little bit of our time so that we can turn our state around. So anyway, you know, I thank you guys. I'm so grateful for you.
No, Mark, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I don't know if you know where the Life is Winning thing actually started from.
It was Ethel.
I was speaking at your event and I was a little nervous in 2020. And we had that big meeting down there in 2020. And I'm talking to Ethel and she goes, just go up there and say, life is winning. And that's all you have to say. And then get off the stage. And I started laughing, and it broke my you know, my nervousness of the whole thing. And I got up and spoke at your event that night. But Ethel has just a wonderful way to words, and you know, every time I get off the phone with her, it's life is winning, and she'll hang up and go away. You know, but it's true. Life is truly winning in New Mexico.
We are.
Since that time, we have seen a 20% reduction in the number of abortions. If it weren't for the out-of-state stuff, we'd be winning this and we'd be crushing them on a daily basis out here. We have the manpower, we have the passion, and we have God on our side, and we know life is winning.
That's awesome. It is. It is, guys. I got to tell you, I just always been really encouraged. And, you know, reporters would ask me, they'd say, well, do you think Roe versus Wade will be overturned? I go, yep. And this was years ago because I kept watching as, you know, the landscape was changing. I said, it will be overturned. And I was very confident. And I remember Mike had a few times where he was a little bit down. And I go, come on, Mike. I said, life is winning. Because you know what? Who do we serve? We serve a mighty God. And we know that in the end, we win, right?
Right.
And so we have to go in with that attitude. We can't be afraid. Even that stupid satanic temple, I tell them, what is that? You know, well, I tell them, I go, it's just a big distraction. Keep doing what we're doing. You know what? It's just, we're with life is winning. Life is winning.
Well, thank you both. And, you know, you made the point, and I've heard it said before that, you know, you can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. And that's something that next week we've got to show up. And we don't know the exact day and time yet. We're probably only going to get a day or two's notice, but we'll make sure everybody knows that. And if at all possible, please make every effort you can to show up in person, wear a blue shirt, just in case you're not able to grab one of Ethel's. And then if you can get, you know, I encourage a cash donation to support her awesome work and get one of those awesome shirts. A lot of people in the comments are saying they want one of your shirts, Ethel, so definitely bring them. So anyway, thank you both. I'm so grateful for both of you. We look forward to next week and seeing life continue to win one way or another, because we know that with God, all things are possible. So God bless you. Have a great evening. Okay, guys. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so just to wrap up on that note, again, you can go to newfrontline.org, and on that Take Action page, one of the things about showing up right now is that we've been talking to and working with our legislative advocate, Rebecca Dow, and she has put together this list of some really essential 16 swing votes that need to hear from you. But as opposed to last time, you need to reach out to them personally, speak from the heart, not just some kind of template letter. really reach out to them and be respectful and be heartfelt and tell them why this is such an important issue, because they're struggling with this one. So reach out to those 16 people, call them, and if you know them personally, if you happen to know any of these, please contact us immediately at action@southwest.life. Because God may be able to use you in a very profound way. So again, newfrontline.org, and you can just scroll down a little bit to these key swing votes representatives. And if you know them, reach out to us. So that being said, one of the bad news things too is that we've been talking about, we had a comment earlier, I believe if I saw it, there was someone from Texas, Jerry Sharp from Texas Alliance for Life, saying that we have to stop the bleeding from Texas into New Mexico and to stop the demand, because we know that New Mexico women are having fewer and fewer abortions, but abortion numbers are increasing because of women coming from the state of Texas. And so the bad news is that a lot of times they're coming just across the state line into Santa Teresa, New Mexico. But we have some good news about this facility. The part of that good news is that the solution to ending abortion, I believe with every fiber of my being, that is more important than petitioning. It's more important than phone calls. It's more important than anything else that you can do. We still have to do all those things, don't get me wrong, but it is the showing up where the abortions are taking place in peaceful prayer and fasting. And just in a couple of weeks, on February 22nd, Ash Wednesday, we're about to embark on our next 40 Days for Life campaign. And this is so absolutely critical, especially in the southern part of the state, because that $10 million abortion center that the governor's threatening is planned for Doña Ana County and Las Cruces. And so that's the bad news. But the good is that we know what to do and we can get started on it now. And so if you're not already signed up for 40 Days for Life, it's about answering that scripture where in scripture it says there's certain types of evil that can only be driven out by both prayer and fasting together. Being there as that visible witness, that last sign of God, of Christ's mercy and his hope, and that first sign of Christ's mercy for women coming out. And we know that just by being there and praying peacefully, you don't even have to say anything, just praying there. So many women, 70% of women going into an abortion facility are Christian. They have some kind of Christian faith background, and they're praying for a sign from God if they should do this or not. And they see you out there on your knees praying, where you never see anyone out praying on the sidewalk, and they know that you were their sign from God. And that's all that it takes. And former abortion workers have attested to the fact that when there are people out praying peacefully on the sidewalk, up to 75% of their appointments for that day don't show up for their abortions. Okay. And you don't even know that when you're out there. There have been 22,829 known babies saved, women spared from the trauma of abortion. Those are just the ones that we know about. There have been 247 abortion workers who've converted and left the abortion facility because of the peaceful and prayerful witness of people praying out on the sidewalk. And that has led to 132 abortion facilities shutting down and closing their doors permanently, including number 83, which was in Las Cruces a few years ago, that First Whole Women's Health that closed. There was the number 97, which was the Reproductive Services Abortion Facility in El Paso, and number 104, which was the Hilltop Abortion Facility in El Paso. And then there's another kind of one, the Planned Parenthood in El Paso is no longer doing abortions, praise be to God. They're still open and referring, but we're going to be there at every active abortion center in the borderland and across the state. So, and again, this is based on this biblical model, right? All throughout Scripture, 40 days is a period that God uses to transform the world. Noah experienced transformations during 40 days of rain. Moses was transformed during the 40 days on Mount Sinai. David was transformed by Goliath's 40-day challenge. Elijah was transformed when God gave him 40 days of strength from one meal. Nineveh was transformed when God gave the city 40 days to remain faithful. And Christ transformed the world following his 40 days in the desert. And the disciples were transformed after spending 40 days with Jesus following his resurrection. God always uses this time period of 40 days to transform his people, the entire cities, his church, and the entire world. Okay. And that's the question, is what can God do through you in 40 days? Okay. So come out, answer Christ's call, and you'll be out there with another person where as that, Christ tells us where two or more are present, he is there with us. Two people go out and pray every hour, answering that call when Christ says, can you not keep watch with me for 1 hour? And so we go out creating this unbroken chain of prayer from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., nonstop prayer vigil, and Christ is there on the sidewalk working through you, and you will be profoundly affected by that. So here to share a little bit more about this is I'm going to first bring on our event coordinator. You've probably had some emails from her in the past, but Miss Rebecca Vasquez is here. And so tell me a little bit about what's going on this year with 40 Days for Life. And I know we've got some new team members that we're going to introduce.
Yeah, so we're excited to be able to do 40 Days for Life again in Las Cruces for the second time. And we actually have some good news. Mark, Planned Parenthood is closed in Las Cruces until, I believe, April 27th, which is an opportunity for us to be out there to pray, for the next 40 days and hopefully be an opportunity to see it close permanently. So that is very awesome to be able to see, and God willing, be able to see that in Las Cruces. And then we do have 2 new amazing coordinators that we have got on board and are just as excited to see what God's going to do out in those abortion clinics. So.
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to highlight real quick, and we'll bring them on because some people have asked me and said, why are we not at, for example, the Planned Parenthood in El Paso? And we do, if you feel convicted to go pray there, by all means go. But we're trying to make sure that we're maximizing our strength and our presence by numbers at the active abortion centers. So the facility in Santa Teresa, and then the Pink House, the new location from the facility that overturned the Dobbs versus Jackson case in Las Cruces. Those are the 2 most active facilities. That's where we're going to concentrate the bulk of our efforts. And then the Planned Parenthood there, praise be to God, is temporarily closed for the time being. And then the Full Circle does mostly mail order abortions. And so we're going to primarily focus on the Santa Teresa and Pink House locations. So Rebecca, who are bringing on board this time around for our Santa Teresa location?
Yeah, we have Veronica Esparza, and there she is.
How are you doing, Veronica?
Hi, Mark. Hi, Rebecca. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you. How about a quick introduction for those of you, for the people who haven't met you yet, as our new Santa Teresa coordinator?
Okay, my name is Veronica Esparza. I'm doing the Springs 40 Days for Life prayer vigil. I'm going to be helping out in Santa Teresa, and I'd love for you guys to join the fight because, like you guys heard, life is winning. So if you haven't had time to register, I'd love for you guys to either go online at the 40 Days for Life website at, what was that website? It's brand new to me. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, southwest.life, and that should get you all the contact information for people to connect to you, Veronica.
Right. And then you can also text me at 915-256-9696. I'd love to help you guys register you if you guys are not techie, like a lot of people aren't. Sure. So I could help you guys. I've got a lot of people registered. And if you see behind me, all these blue spots is where we still need prayer warriors out there. And guys, I just want to encourage you guys. Prayer is powerful, and sometimes we don't know how powerful our prayers are. But like Mark said, when we're out there and people see us, whether we're praying, standing, or whether we're on our knees, when those girls see us, when the worker sees us, when the security guard sees us, we're out there for business, and we're out there for God's business. So please, I encourage you all to be out there to join the fight, because it's all worth it, all to the glory of our God.
And you've been out there, Veronica. I know a lot of our prayer volunteers in base are spread out across El Paso, and they may be wondering if, abortion is no longer a problem in El Paso. It's no problem in Texas. But I know when we're there praying at the Santa Teresa location and looking at all the license plates, what would you say to folks wondering if they should still make the trip from El Paso?
Absolutely. Guys, just because it was outlawed in Texas, the heartbeat law, doesn't mean that some people are still not wanting to seek abortion. We need to make abortion unthinkable. Obviously, people don't know the truth about abortion. And if they don't know the truth, that's what steers them in the wrong direction. So we need to be out there praying, not only that the abortion doesn't happen, but that God would open up their minds to what abortion really is, because abortion is, as we all know who are fighting the fight, is taking the life of an unborn child. And every life matters to God, every single life, and every person that we're out there praying for. We have to remember that that's why we're there, to be used by God as his vessels. And I consider it an honor to be out there. I mean, we are born right now at such a time as this. I mean, can you imagine? We get to do this, and I would love to have you guys on board so you guys could see what it's all about, and so that you can see that God can use each and every one of us.
Okay, folks. So thank you, Veronica. And I'm just so impressed with that board behind you. If I only count about 18, 19, maybe 20 behind your shoulder, empty spots left. And that is amazing. I mean, there's a couple days on there that are completely filled with unbroken chains of prayer. So call Veronica right there. You can see her number and email on the screen and help her fill up those empty spots. So we have a nonstop unbroken chain of prayer every day, nonstop for 40 days straight. And that is what's going to change the culture as we continue to go. And to that point, Rebecca, we've also got another team member joining for the Las Cruces location.
Yes, we do. But before we do that, Mark, I just want to quickly and then both of them can be on there just so that we can see. You know, Veronica did talk about signing up, and I know that you are welcome to give her a phone call, right, or go to our Southwest .life webpage. But also another opportunity for you to show up to see the pro-life community and be able to see what's going on. And you haven't registered and would like to do it in person. We do have a kickoff rally coming up for the Santa Teresa prayer vigil at the Westside Community Church on February 18th. And we will be there from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So you get to hear great news. You get to go and meet all the other people. You get to meet Veronica in person, and also be able to sign up in person through the blue cards and pick up your t-shirts. So if you guys have already signed up or want to sign up, that is an opportunity for you to have your shirt so that you can be ready and prepared for the first day that you go out.
Wonderful.
Thank you for mentioning that.
I know folks who signed up to pray in Las Cruces the last time around got to meet Ashlyn, and she's since moved on to take over and run our sidewalk outreach division with our interns. So who do we have stepping up, Rebecca, to help us in Las Cruces? It looks like she may need to unmute herself, I think.
Yeah, so we have Stephanie. I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'll let you do that one.
My name is Stephanie Remendini.
Remendini, good Italian last name like myself.
I know. I'm the vigil coordinator for the Pink House location for the spring 40 Days for Life prayer vigil. And Veronica showed me up. I don't have my fancy board behind me, but I promise you we have a lot of spots we need to fill as well. We need Sundays filled desperately. They're always kind of a more difficult day. And Fridays, we have a lot of spots midday, which is a big deal because Fridays are abortion days. It's a day we really do want to make sure we're extremely present out there on the sidewalks for every single person driving in.
And just really quick, give a nutshell version, a little bit about yourself and your heart for women, Stephanie, because I'm just so excited you've joined the team.
So first and foremost, my heart for women comes from the fact that I'm a mom. I've got 2 beautiful little girls. And not only does it hurt my heart that we live in this culture of death, but it hurts my heart to know that this is the culture that they're going to grow up in. I want better for them. I want better for everybody else that's their age, that when they grow up, that abortion is unthinkable, that they look back and say, I can't believe that things used to be that way. And so that's my prayer, and that's why I joined this fight. And I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. And yes, it's how the way God's just bringing people into this has just been amazing. And we're excited for both you and Veronica to be helping lead our vigils this time. Sorry, I'm multitasking right now. Sorry, guys. I'm not being a very good host at the moment. And Rebecca or Stephanie, do you know the details for a kickoff rally for the Las Cruces location?
So yes, our kickoff rally for Las Cruces is going to be Saturday, February 18th, which is the Saturday right before the vigil starts that coming Wednesday. And our vigil is going to be at the Immaculate Heart of Mary Cathedral, which is at 1240 South Espina from 1 to 3 p.m. And again, that's a great day to come sign up in person. If you've signed up, come get your t-shirts, come meet everybody else, meet us. I can't wait to meet all of our prayer volunteers because you guys are incredible.
Well, thank you both so much. And unless Rebecca interrupts me and has any last minute details she wants to share, Rebecca?
Yeah. So the last thing, I know that we've, been trying to improve everything and, get the awareness of the events. And sometimes, things can get a little hectic. Just know that both of the coordinators, including myself, will be reaching out to you again to give you details the day before you go out to pray, giving you just, the things that you need to be able to have a good day, a good hour there. But then also for these events, I know we talked about both events. We gave out some addresses and locations, and it might have been a little bit too quick. So if you want to know more details on that, you want to have that, be sure to go to www.southwest.life. And that is our webpage. You click on 40 Days for Life. You can scroll all the way down, and you will see the events posted on there with dates and details, including addresses and times, and then a little bit about what we're going to be doing that evening. So be sure to check it out. So anytime you're looking to know what's coming up, that's next, what is Southwest doing, be sure to check out our page, and you'll be able to have all of those updates.
Thank you, Rebecca. In fact, I'm going to pull that up real quick just so folks can see. Go to southwest.life, click on 40 Days for Life, and you'll see some information about the campaign. You can sign up for the vigil locations here. And then if you scroll down, there's also here an event schedule that has all the details for your upcoming kickoff events, and we'll add more event details there for the midpoint and closing. And you can easily add those to your calendars to get notifications. So you can get that all again at southwest.life. And I do want to mention also that if you're not in the southern part of the state, if you aren't in Albuquerque, make sure you check out Project Defending Life. And they are helping to coordinate the 40 Days for Life in Albuquerque. And there's a lot of need for a lot of prayer volunteers right now. So definitely reach out to them. And if you're anywhere else and you happen to be tuning in, like Jerry from Austin, Texas, then go to www.40daysforlife.com and you can find your nearest vigil location to sign up for 40 Days for Life. Especially in those states where abortion restricted, please be out there and helping to spread the message of life before they leave the state and make their way to New Mexico, because at that point, it's so much harder to change their mind because they're so invested in their decision. They put so much time and cost and effort into it. So please continue to be involved. I know like in Austin with the Central Texas Coalition for Life, a lot of people assume that the work is done in Texas, but it's not. They're coming to New Mexico. We see their license plates all across the state. So well, thank you all very much, and I'm very excited for you all to be joining. Anything else, Rebecca, before we tap out?
No, that wraps it up. We look forward to seeing y'all.
Well, we're all going to wave goodbye to everybody as we say goodnight.
Thank you.
Contact us if we are to come out and join us in prayer, and make sure you go and make those phone calls and email those people and reach out. So God bless you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you.